Elton, thank you so much for coming to Toronto to launch this film. I know this was an emotional film for you. I want to start then with RJ and David, and then we will come to you. RJ and David, with a career and a life as vast as Elton's, there's so much to cover. And what for you was the main thread that you wanted to use to tell his story?
Well, there were a lot of key discoveries in the process of making this film, which was really a journey of discovery. The biggest one, in a way, was listening to the tapes, the conversations between Elton and Alexis. And that provided, as you just saw, the spine of the film. The intimacy of that conversation, the truth behind it, the close relationship that Elton and Alexis have that allowed Elton to speak that way, not in a way that one never would have achieved in a sit-down interview with all sorts of strangers in the room. One of the first times I played some of that material for David, he was so moved and said, I've heard this voice from Elton, but nobody else has. This was a huge breakthrough for us. Another, huge decision when you talk about the scope of Elton's life was focusing just on those 5 years, that incredibly prolific period of time. So those were two of the many key discoveries.
And I loved the two pillars. We knew that Elton doing his farewell tour was going to be a momentous thing, but when you compare where he was at Dodgers in 1975 versus where he was in 2022, that's a beautiful narrative arc. It just shows such a transformative life and how you can come from, the depths of adversity, have all the success in the world, yet it means nothing until you have family and you have love.
Elton, this is such an intimate, open portrait of you and your life and your career. At what point in your career did you decide that you could open up like this? And was there something that prompted your opening up to tell your story?
Oh, it's a tough question because I was a closed book. I was so tight as a drum. But I was so tired of being hiding away. And, when Cliff Jar did the interview in 1976 with Rolling Stone, everyone knew in the business that I was gay. Most people knew I was gay. I was living with my manager, for Christ's sake. But it was just very hard for me. No one had ever asked me before Cliff if I was gay or what my sexuality was. So I didn't feel as though I was hiding, but I was just very forlorn in thinking that, am I ever going to find someone, being how famous I am and of my sexuality? And that's why I told him to keep the tape rolling. And that was a definitive time in my life because I was being honest, and it was so good. I was, same time nearly that I coincided with owning a football club, becoming chairman, a soccer club in England. And, having a gay chairman of a football club, it's quite something. And it was a wonderful time for me because at least I got that kind of thing off my back. But the whole point of this movie, for me, or this documentary, was just the truth should always be told. And it took me so long to tell the truth, and it made me so unhappy. And it was so stupid, the amount of years that I lost by not telling the truth and by fooling myself. And when I stopped fooling myself, obviously my life turned around. And the thing I love about this movie the most is that I have him and I have my two sons. And I'm very proud of what I've achieved, and I will hope to keep making music. But I want to be at home with them and see them and treasure them. That's the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life, more than having the first #1 album in Billboard. Yeah, that was really nice for about 5 minutes. But this is a lifetime. And the love I have for his family, my my children, and my friends has never been better. And listen, I'm 77 years old. I'm having the best time of my life, except for this fucking eye. I wish I could see you, but I can't. But it's life is a lesson, and life is a lesson. I thank God I started to learn when I got to 43 years of age, and it's been wonderful ever since. And you know what got me when I watched this film was the crowds, the people that came to see me, the fans, the things that made my success. And I love that so much. Seeing some of the old footage made me very, very tearful. And it was good footage, and it was good playing, and I had a great time. But fame is a dangerous thing if you don't have something else. And that something else is honesty. And if you don't have the honesty to go with the fame, then you're going to be in real, real trouble, like I was before I got sober in 1990. It's been 34 years now, and it's been... This man saved my life, made my life what it is today. RJ, thank you so much for this. I came backstage, I was sitting back there and I was shaking. I've seen the film once before, but tonight it had a special, profound effect on me because it was in front of you guys, and it's like laying your soul bare. But I'm proud of what I've become. I'm proud of what I've done in some respects, and I had the common sense and a lot of great people to help me get well. People I didn't know, people that I'd walk into a room and say, here's my phone number. If you ever hear you get in trouble, give me a call. I thought, I don't even know you. And it was just the most incredible kindness. And that's what I always feel about the human race, is the incredible kindness. Kindness will out. Kindness will always out. And that's what I hope for the American election next November.
Yay.
Hear, hear.
People are good people. They're kind and they're generous. And I've found that all my life. So thank you for coming tonight to watch this. I'm very proud of it. I'm so proud of these two. And it's the truth, and that's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautifully said. RJ and David, you're both documentary filmmakers, of course, but you're coming at this personally from such different directions. Only one of you is Elton's husband.
Thank goodness.
So how did that collaboration work in practice?
RJ has so much more experience as a documentary filmmaker than I do, and incredible resources. I'm also incredibly close to the subject, and therefore a little biased. So I very much let him take the lead in terms of the original shaping. We had a massive archive that we've been building up for many, many years, and I knew we had lots of jewels in there, so we all had a lot of fun going through these tapes and these cans of footage and things that hadn't been looked at. Some of them hadn't even been processed. Audio tracks, tour programs, magazine articles, amazing stuff. But pulling all of that together was an exercise. But the initial shape and structure of the film, RJ and I knew we wanted to have the two Dodger shows as benchmarks. But I let him take the lead, and then I stood back, and you took it from there.
Well, and yes, that's true, but there was this wonderful back and forth that we had where I would have chunks, sections of the film and send them off to David, acts really, and he would respond to them in a way, it was a barometer of truth. I got the rawest emotional response from David, and he would feel the themes. It was not just that he had the wisdom to understand what we were aiming for. He could feel them in his heart because they were about his heart, and that was a really exciting kind of experience. I've worked with, I've co-directed a couple of times, and it's had its richness and its challenges, but never in this way. And this was just thrilling. Every time we would meet to discuss sections of the film, I would learn so much about what I had already we'd already done and been exploring. So it was a real, I'm so grateful for this collaboration. Yeah, a real blast.
Elton, speaking of collaborations, your songwriting with the lyricist Bernie Taupin is one of the great collaborations in pop music. You've also paired with Kiki D, I remember when that was on the radio a lot, Stevie Wonder, Dua Lipa, Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, and then in the film there's that amazing collaboration on stage at Madison Square Garden with John Lennon. What is your approach to collaborating with other musicians? What's the give and take?
To collaborate with someone who is different from you, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn a different song. When I first recorded Whatever Gets You Through the Night, John had already put his vocal down, and I had to harmonize, and his phrasing was so different to mine that it took me a long time. So I think when you collaborate with Dua Lipa or Brandi Carlile or Stevie Wonder or Aretha Franklin, I've collaborated with so many people, Leonard Cohen. You learn something by just, you respect them and you love them, otherwise you wouldn't be collaborating with them. And then you stand, for example, I did a duet with Leonard Cohen on my duets, and he stood there and I stood here and the microphone was in the middle. And we were covering a Ray Charles song called Born to Lose. And he had the first line and he went, born. And I just collapsed with laughter. And he said, what's wrong? I said, nothing's wrong, Leonard. It sounds like a ship leaving harbor. And it was so wonderful. It was, whenever you collaborate with someone, it's just wonderful. You learn something. And your fellow musicians, it's wonderful being a musician because most musicians get on with each other so well. Sport and music are common denominators. So it's a privilege to work with someone, and I've never worked with anyone that I regretted working with. So there you go.
Thank you. Since we're at a film festival, can I ask you about movies as well? You were the pinball wizard in Tommy. You composed the songs for The Lion King with Tim Rice. And of course, there's Rocket Man, your own biopic as well. But as a film lover yourself, what movies have really stayed with you over the years?
What movies stay with me? Yeah. Oh, that I've been in or not?
Or just movies that you love.
What movie has stayed with me? Well, I like Field of Dreams because it's a father and son thing. And that's always been a big make-up of mine. Billy Elliot was a father and son thing when his dad comes to see him in Dance for the Royal Ballet. Of course, my dad never came to see me, so I was in Cannes, and I was just floods of tears. We ended up doing the musical of it. I like comedies, but I think the best film that I've ever seen would be Godfather 2.
Agreed. Yes. Thank you. Last question for Elton and David. Your relationship is such an important part of this film. It's the happy ending to a roller coaster of a life. Elton, you've long been a music icon, but now the two of you are an iconic couple as well. Your marriage, your fatherhood, your kids have all been a key part and of what it means to be a pioneering gay couple. Especially in LGBTQ communities. And I wonder, how do you carry that iconic status as a couple? What does it mean to you and to all of your fans, Elton, as well?
What does it mean to me? It means everything to me. I mean, it's just, for me, my family and my life. And we've always tried to keep our children out of the public eye.
I can say the irony is not lost on me that I tried to come out to my mom in 81 here in Toronto, 82. And there were no role models. She said, "You'll never have a happy life. I'm so frightened for you. You won't find love in a lasting relationship. You'll be discriminated against in your job. And you'll never have children." And it wasn't she was rejecting me. She was scared for me. I couldn't point to anybody. There was no one. There was Boy George, who I loved, but he wasn't studying business at university in London, Ontario. And so there was nobody you could grab onto. And to be sitting here in 2024 and to see it up on the screen here in Toronto and to realize how much the world can change, is a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. I think the thing, Elton and I have just always tried to be honest. We've just always tried to live our life honestly and openly and proudly. And we're very protective with our children. We try to share little bits of our life just so that people can see we're parents and we have lovely, lovely sons and they're happy children. But I just think honesty is the best way to go forward.
There's a kind of simple moment in the film where Elton is interviewing Alison Pontier, and he says, we're both in the same game, because she's a queer artist. And you couldn't help but realize when they had that conversation standing in the room that Alison Pontier could not be out in that way had Elton not done what he had done all those years before. It made the world, it changed the world. And then when Elton and David and the boys came out on stage, another simple moment, just a moment of gratitude, and you saw a normal family. And everybody's heart was full in that moment at Dodger Stadium that night. And this is what Elton has made possible.
On my tombstone, I don't want to say he sold 1 million records here, blah, blah. I just wanted to say he was a great dad and a great husband. That's all I want.
A great dad, a great husband, and an icon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Bless you.
R.J. Cutler,
Thank you, Toronto.
David Furnish, and Sir Elton John. Thank you.
Yay.